But it's not that us targeters know that you, Brandon, go to certain sites, and like, we have no idea. We just know that if you've been to the site, like say a progressive blog, and there is a depending on which ad network, they might have a set of cookies you can target, say for people who like progressive blogs, and I can follow you elsewhere, but I don't know it's you. No one does. It's just I know that that machine has regularly visited progressive blogs, and so I can talk to them even if I'm not going to pay the rate progressive blogs charge, even if I'm only going to go to eHow, which is a really cheap site to buy one.
It's trying to make you feel less creeped out. It's important because there's this big debate going on right now in terms of with regard to advertising and spam. And I was at a congressional hearing just last week about this. And, so there are certain things that can be done to make sure that you get ads that are more relevant to what you want. But the fear is, that means they know too much about me. And the truth is that a lot of that information is being protected against you.
Yeah, it's completely black box. I mean, Google and Facebook are so, believe it or not, insanely protective of their users' and customers' privacy, because it would just crush their business if there was big scandals. That, believe it or not, people in my position are constantly asking them to let us target more, and they're constantly saying no. Now, there is something I'd like to talk about for just a quick second while we're on it, because we dovetail with the social media, and that is social seeding. I know you said size doesn't matter when it comes to the size of social media audience, and I completely agree that I would rather have some incredibly influential people than a lot of non-influential people. But if you're going to get influencers, you want more of them rather than a few of them. If you're going to target an audience, you want as many of them as humanly possible. For instance, if you're going to tweet 3 times a day, if you have 100 followers, you might expose your ads to, or your tweets to 100 people 3 times a day. But if you have 100,000 followers, the same exact amount of effort tweeting goes so much farther. So Facebook ads are beautiful for growing a Facebook fan page. And there's a trick to it. And that is, in the ad, tell people to click like. When you're doing brand advertising to promote a Facebook page on Facebook, you'll notice there's like buttons underneath the ads. If someone clicks that and you're advertising a page, they become a fan of the page without ever going through to the page. So if you say you're trying to get people to show their support for this bill that's about to come through, say show your support by clicking like. You can get Facebook fans in such enormous volume and good fans, because you can target whoever you want. That anytime our clients launch a Facebook page, anytime any of our clients are going to put a video out there, are going to do anything that needs to rely on any sort of virality, we focus very hard on affecting as large of a population with that first batch of the virus as possible. I mean, think of the term viral. It means, think of a message as a cold. If a disease is super virulent and it kills someone like that, and you infect 3 people, what if those 3 people get sick and die without ever going? Pretend you're a terrorist. What if you get sick and die without ever going in interaction with anyone else? You won't succeed in spreading your virus. But if you take your pathogen and you release it at the Super Bowl, then everyone goes to the airport, they go home. It doesn't even have to be all that virulent. The amount of people who are infected then touch so many other people that it grew some legs. So there's multiple ways. There's multiple ways something can go viral. It can go viral because it gets passed on at a higher rate. So you send it. The average person sends it to 10 people, and at least 1 in 10 of them goes on to send it to 10 people. But that rarely happens. It's lightning in a bottle when you get that. Usually it's you show it to 10 people, 1 in 10 of them will go out and show it to 9 people. And so you'll get a little bit of a tail off of the sort of virality, but then it peters out and people stop being infected. With social seeding, the idea is use these ads to take it and do it at the Super Bowl. Because if it's got legs, if it's going to get passed on, the more people you originally give it to, the higher the likelihood not only that it gets passed on at all is, but also the bar for it becoming a big hit gets a lot lower, because all you need is 1 of the right people to break it. So if you're going to launch a Facebook page, if you're going to go do any sort of online promotion, if you're going to launch videos, and the point is you want the press to cover your videos, you need a high view count. So drive ads to the video itself, drive clicks directly to the video, and drive up those views, expose that video to more people, so that when a reporter goes to look at it, they say, oh gosh, 200,000 people have looked at this. When in fact only 25,000 of those people found it because it went viral. And that right there is how corporations use the internet to influence things without doing any sort of grassroots whatever. They infect a larger sea population.
So when you combine the two strategies.
Yeah, if you happen to have, people on your side, it's awesome.
More questions?
We only have a few minutes left.
Over here.
So what's the future? What's the next step in social media in terms of politics and political campaigns? When does the social media guy get a seat at the strategy table? Where is this going?
It's happening.
It's happening. I mean, I have a seat at the strategy table at CAP. I've had one since I got there, and so it is happening. And it happened before the people at the top really understood what social media was about. So it is even happening among people who don't understand it but know it's important, which is a good step. Although that said, it's still not happening quite as much as it should. But I think you watch TV, you watch the news, and at the end of the news broadcast, the anchor says, and follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Eventually, that's going to get pounded over the heads of people enough that they're going to go, well, maybe we should, or maybe we should do it ourselves. And so I just think it's reached the point where it's growing virally. It's growing on its own.
Yes.
And I think so. It's only a matter of time. I think that in the next, we've already started, but sort of the phase that we're moving deeper and deeper into is the mobile aspect of social media, which is becoming incredibly powerful. People are buying smartphones, people are buying web-enabled phones, more devices. Video games are connected to the internet. You get a Nintendo Game Boy and you can connect with people online these days. And so there's more and more of that will create more and more value for it, and therefore increase the attention paid to it.
Yeah, I also think you're going to start to see the political advocacy industry start to be taken over by people on digital. Not in the near term, but we've already started to see for the first time campaign managers whose previous jobs where they were a campaign's digital guy, not their previous jobs as they were a press guy or a finance guy. You're starting to see people go to their digital team and hire that team first, because digital impacts fundraising, it impacts grassroots mobilization, it impacts get out the vote, it impacts paid media carpet bombing, it impacts the way you get people to an event, even if it's a 12-person event. And so you're starting to see the first generation of digital people who have been in digital long enough to actually be campaign veterans coming out.
Right. And maybe the reverse of that, you're seeing more and more of the traditional campaign consulting firms recognizing that this is happening, and they're bringing a very higher level digital strategist people on their own teams, rather than an intern or an entry-level person. They're starting to bring senior VPs and the like into their staff so that they're integrating. So we're starting to see it.
Yeah, and it's no longer the afterthought. It's right way upstream now.
It's funny, David Winston, who's a political pollster on the Republican side, at an event that I put together in 2005, stood up in front of an audience of one of the events I did, and just basically said, we have reached the point where we no longer should be thinking about online campaigns and offline campaigns. We should be thinking about campaigns that are both online and offline. And that was 5 years ago. He was an old school established political pollster. He got it, and I think we're just seeing that evolve very steadily since then.
Yeah, I think that to some extent we're going to see a shift in traditional campaigning that you can't predict what it's going to be, but the first time, as we get more and more data, the first time, this is the first time ever that in-house staffers have had enormous amounts of data at their disposal to analyze. And so we're starting to see sort of something that's been happening in corporate, which is the rise of the statistician and the quant as one of the most valuable players in any organization. As it happens, as digital people who are at least partially quant-oriented, who really take numbers seriously, really take analysis seriously, we're going to start to see organizations change dramatically as those people get into leadership roles. And we're going to start to see the way the doors are knocked change dramatically. It's not going to be digital per se. It's going to be decisions that you don't even think of as digital, like how many bodies we allocate here. being made based off digital information and it's going to be people who understand what all of these data points mean and how to analyze it, who are ultimately calling many, many shots at campaigns.
Well, thank you guys very, very much.